Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October session of the Southern Fried DNN User Group. We are excited tonight to spend some time with one of our favorite vendors that's out there producing excellence in the DNN ecosystem. We have Mandeep Singh from Mandeeps.com online with us to run through one of his newest releases. I don't know if I can call it a release. This is the beta version of what is sure to be one of the most exciting new store releases for DNN that we've seen in a while. So our main speaker and presenter today is going to be Mandeep, but as we do with every session, we're going to kick off with some community information and some discussion of things that are going on and things that you should pay attention to. And I'll begin by jumping right over to the DNN software site, to the community blog, to bring up information that's been posted here. I think, Clint, you were mentioning that one of the main things that we had recently was the digest release. So I'm going to jump over to that and kind of let you take it over and walk through some of those things.
Yeah, so the DNN Digest is a monthly newsletter that I send out, and Ryan, as I mentioned earlier, if you hover over the community menu item there, and then you can subscribe there at the subscribe to DNN Digest in the far left if you are not subscribed. But anyways, it's kind of a monthly review and foreshadowing of things to come. To start out with the editor's note, which is where I highlight, things that I see going on from the ecosystem manager's perspective. And, this month we've got a lot of stuff going on. We had the 9.2.2 release, which was the first 100% community-driven release. And so, coming from our open source roots throughout the entire transition of, DNN Corp and to now, when we come out, when there is a DNN release, it is 100% on the backs of community people. And so, we've got a lot of people behind the scenes that are doing a lot of work that, the unsung heroes that don't get, a lot of love, which Mitchell did give them love in another blog that you're going to reference. But yes, we are definitely leveraging resources from the .NET Foundation, as you highlighted. So all the contributors there mentioned here in the list, these are the people who are submitting bugs and reviewing them. I mean, not bugs, submitting pull requests and also reviewing them and merging them. So it's there's a lot of things that need to be done, and I'm not going to say very few, but there's a handful of people doing work, and we would love to have more. So this is kind of a big moment in the time span or history of DNN, because we are essentially controlling our own destiny. So yeah, that was that blog. If you click over,
Daniel.
Yep, Daniel and Mike Smeltzer have joined. Welcome, guys. So if you keep scrolling down, I did go to the Microsoft Ignite conference. I talked about that a little bit, and it was just kind of reiterating that it's very clear from the messaging coming from Microsoft that open source is very important to Microsoft. I mean, if you look at some of the strategic moves and decisions they're making, it's definitely a great time to be a .NET open source developer. So they're really getting behind that. If you keep going down, we're talking about upcoming events, which we list this meeting, obviously. We do want to show love to our friend Adderson and his group across the line, so to speak, in Toronto. He had a great meeting with Kelly Ford where they talked about prompt last meeting. And the reason I call these out is because just like our meeting, we post the replays. So if you want to watch this or any of these user group meetings, you can go and find the YouTube link. So he had a great meeting with Kelly Ford. His upcoming meeting is with Bogdan of DNN Sharp. And then, yes, DNN Summit is coming up February 19th through 21st in Denver, Colorado. We are going to, so you can now register, which you see the big button, register for speaker, or not register for speakers, register now. The call for speakers has closed, and we will be announcing the speakers soon. Matter of fact, just earlier today, the speaker acceptance emails got sent out, right? So if you were chosen to speak, you should have an email in your inbox saying, please confirm. And then, Ryan, do you want to chime in on the training aspect here?
Just talking about speaker 2 first, I was going to chime in about that in our organizational meeting this afternoon, Mitch said it was ready to go out and announce. And I do remember that last year, there were several folks who just didn't receive that. It's server-based email that's coming out of the open call system. So if you submitted a session, check your inbox, make sure that you get it, check your spam lists or spam folders, but log in to OpenCall into your account there, because it will show it there for you. I'm sorry, PaperCall, right?
Yeah.
It will show it to you there if it's been accepted. So if you feel like you're missing that email and you want to double check, log into your account. I know that hit me last year. So for training sessions, we are close to posting the information about the training sessions. You certainly can register now, as Clint was mentioning, and part of that is being able to go ahead and register for the training sessions. You obviously can purchase your ticket, but then we basically have different elements of training sessions that are available, and there are essentially 5 full-day training sessions this year, and that's a bit of a departure from the structure we've had in the past. You'll find that some of the courses that are tried and true, that happen every single year, we've enhanced a little bit further. So now, instead of just having one module development course in which introductory people feel like it goes too fast and advanced people feel like it goes too slow, we're breaking those out into 2 different sessions. So we have Introduction to DNN Module Development, and then we have Advanced DNN Module Development. And we want to see both of those new split-out courses full of attendees. We have then DNN Administrator Training, we have Introduction to Theming, and then we have one more new session this year, which is going to be an Evoke-focused session, which is really an admin, a little bit more of an advanced admin in Evoke, but really focusing on liquid content, how to work within it, and leaving with some real hands-on practice, having worked within liquid content. Another thing that's not training specifically to mention is that we will have Help Lab this year. Help Lab is your opportunity to bring your problems, to bring your questions and your hands-on, I want help with this here and now kinds of questions to the Help Lab. And at that point, you're going to be met with a team of experienced experts who can answer questions, and if they find they're stumped, they can step out of the room and find a dozen other experts to bring in and help answer those questions. So the Help Lab is going to be really fun new addition that we're having for DNN Summit this year. I'll be posting full syllabus information for the topics for the training sessions, and then later in the next month we're going to do some interviews and video promotions and things with Adderson, who's going to help us promote both speakers as well as training sessions and things like that. So we've got some excitement about DNN Summit that should be building from here out. That's pretty good for Summit Day, you think, Clint?
Yeah, no, I really like how you're breaking the module development out into intro and advanced. I think that will be well received. Yeah, also, so back on the digest link, we've got the DNN Awards. So if you have not, so this is kind of interesting. It's a derivative, if you will, of the awareness group. So in the awareness group, the team at Foremost Media has really taken this project on and just run it by themselves, which is awesome, right? You say, hey, go do it, and they did it. And so they are hosting the first annual website awards. There's different categories. You have until October 31st, which is like, what, maybe a week or 2 away, to submit. So if you have not submitted, be sure to go and submit some of your best work, which I'm sure all the top winners will be running Porto theme. But anyways, that is still going. Yeah, and so this featured content, this is the blog that Mitchell posted, which is more kind of leadership. It's messaging where we've come and where we're going as a community, since he's the technology advisory group leader. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely give that a look. And I think, yeah, in the project updates, this is where we are, showing metrics on how many pull requests and, issues were created, obviously linking out to the releases. And then we have the community modules, which are the older core modules. If you scroll down a little bit more, that is where Daniel, who's on the meeting here, and crew are, making it their mission to get everything current, running on 9.2, and enhanced as much as possible. So, Daniel, I don't know if you were here earlier when I was talking about the metrics on this email. When I look, the majority of the clicks are in this section. So people are really interested in this section. So then we have Partner Spotlight, where we highlight partners and then mention some tweets. This one was IT Works out of Australia. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the community update. I'm trying to think if there's anything that has happened epic since this went out, and I can't really think of anything. I posted the blog you mentioned, Ryan, about open source, but that wasn't too epic. But that's what I'm seeing is going on in the community.
Well, so I'll kind of wrap up the community information to mention again about DNN Summit, that we are moving towards the end of this year, and this is primary registration time. We feel like posting more information about the training sessions and posting more information about the speakers and the sessions they're giving, that's going to all drive registrations and get people paying attention to the fact that we have it really just around the corner here in the middle of February. So be looking out for that information for DNN Summit, and if you haven't registered already, start thinking about it. And another reminder too, the earlier you book those flights, the better that's going to be. We've watched it now for 2 or 3 years in a row, and it just keeps getting more expensive from October out. By the time you hit Thanksgiving, by the time you hit the middle of December, your plane flights are much more expensive than they are if you catch them early. Okay, well then let's switch gears here, and we'll begin talking about our primary speaker for today. Mandeep Singh has joined us. This session really started because I received the email in from his digest for September, and was thrilled to see the mention there of live storefront with a beta release promoted. I believe that I first heard that there was a store system cooking 6 months ago, 8 months ago, when Clint mentioned it, and I was pretty excited pretty quickly. I'm sure that most folks watching this replay are familiar with Mandeep's modules, but just to point out a couple of my favorite things as I start to bring this over to Mandeep to present and show us is just a little bit of I don't know, kudos and recognition for the way that the series of Mandeep modules all work together with consistent nature, with interface, with elements that play off of each other, from skins to modules to interrelationships between modules, and that interconnectedness is one of the main things that I'm very excited to learn about and to see where that might show up here in StoreFront Beta. And I'm positive that not knowing a thing about it, I'm already excited. I'm probably going to be super excited and squealing here by the middle point of our session. So with that as a description to kick off, Clint, why don't you go ahead and switch presenter over to Mandeep, and we'll let you take it away.
All right. Mandeep, it's good to send you a request, hopefully.
Yes, thanks Clint, and thanks Ryan for that wonderful introduction. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. I'm sorry, I was muting Ryan. Sorry, Ryan, I muted you. Yes, we can see the screen.
Yeah, for a moment I thought I lost the call. So Ryan, it is a significant background noise. All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Mandeep Singh, founder of Mandeeps.com, and thanks, Ryan, for that wonderful introduction. So what you're seeing on the screen is a small limited demo that was put together for the beta testers, for those who couldn't actually download the product and play with it. So we put a demo up online, and this has been online for a while. The team continues to update it and modify it. But for the purpose of this presentation here, we're going to actually get our hands dirty and play a little bit with it. Oh my God, Ryan, I actually feel like we're off call line. It feels like it's like dead silence. I feel like there's nobody listening or nobody's there. So now and then just keep saying hello. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, no, we're here.
Oh, this is too good to be true now. All right. I have to go back and see it's still on. All right, okay. So I have DNN 9.1 site here.
If it's that rough, I only hear it lightly here, but yeah, my laptop seen some better days.
All right. I don't have a particular agenda, so we're going to take it as we go. We'll get our hands dirty. So at any time, anyone feel free to ask questions. You know, the more we ask, the more we can kind of interact and gain out of this call. So I got DNN 9.1 here, and just created a page called Store, kind of blank slate to get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and find that module and add it in. There's live storefront, so I'll hit add. And one of the first things it should do once it's on the page is going to show us a setup wizard, which will help us kind of set the module together and do the plumbing for us, so we don't have to go configure a bunch of things in different screens. And doing that now, we'll just wait for the wizard to load here really quick. And there it is. Now, obviously, this is beta, so things will get polished up more as we go. I mean, it's missing branding and more, you know, information and so forth. But there's a wizard asking for a store logo, so I'll go ahead and steal here from our logo, so I'll put that in. And this is basically, so if you have invoices or any branding information that's going out, then you got your logo on those already to begin with. And this is your basic store information, so I'm just going to set one up here saying Mandeeps.com. And this is not the real address, but quick and easy to type. The postal code, and then email address. So this is probably a default store email address or something generic. At any point, you can always edit or change this. Live StoreFront has the capability to specify multiple email addresses for different roles. For example, you could have a sales manager, you could have a shipping manager, you could have a customer service help. So depending on different tasks or actions that happen within the store, you can then have specific emails goes to those specific people. For example, I mean, if your product's out of stock, you don't want to let everyone know. You just let the inventory manager or someone who's responsible for the product let them know. So, and we can look at all that in detail. But so more cool stuff here is your default currency. Live StoreFront does support multiple currencies, so you could, after choosing a default currency, add more and kind of do an exchange rate concept and automatically have customers check out using their preferred currency as a default. And there's a bunch of currencies right there. Has default dimensions, default weights. Of course, this is for United States, and if you're in a metric system, you would change these. The cool thing is that you're not limited to what you see here. You can always add your own. So if we happen to invent another dimension or another way to measure weight or something, then we can always add that. We're not stuck in. The entire live storefront is built on an open architecture, so you can kind of extend it in any direction you like. So enable all countries, and again, we need a better label here, but basically saying, do you sell in all countries? And if you do, for example, at Mandeeps.com, we sell digital software, so we sell to all countries. But let's say you were shipping physical goods and you're limited to North America or United States, then you would say no, and you can then individually type your countries in. For example, I also want to send to Mexico, so I could do that. And again, at any point, you can configure or edit your store to then add, remove, and actually go granular and say, hey, I only sell in the United States, but not in Hawaii and, let's say, Alaska. Or you can go granular. And then there are some business like wineries that can or cannot ship their wine bottles to certain states and so forth. So all that kind of is built into Live Storefront. You can go ahead and set it up where you can ship, where you can bill, and so forth. For right now, I'm just going to keep it yes. That's easy. Here's my favorite part of this entire setup. It's called import sample data, and this again will change when we get to the official release. We'll probably be set up a sample store or something like that. This is great for presentations like mine today, because then I don't have to do any work. It kind of automatically imports all the categories, the manufacturers, the products, the images, the sales data. So this way it's so much quicker for me to I see there's a bunch of questions here. I apologize. Let me pull this out so I could see some of those. And I am in the middle of moving my office setup, so I'm stuck with single screen today, which kind of sucks. Hey, Clint or Ryan, if there's something that needs my attention, could you guys just let me know so I don't have to look through this?
Yeah, no, we're just cracking small jokes and talking about how your local site's not running HTTPS and all this like randomly.
No, nothing serious yet, but Clint or I will bring up questions when we got them.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
I already have like a half dozen questions, but I'll wait till you get a little distance first.
Mike, did you have a question, or were you? I'm trying to. Okay, he didn't. Okay, yeah, no questions yet.
Okay, cool. So yeah, feel free to intervene whenever you have one. So the sample data, I think, is the coolest part of doing this. So this is great for me, but it's also great for a lot of our clients, which are web development companies and integrators, and they're trying to do a demo to their end clients, and that here's the software that we have that you can use for e-commerce. So it's super easy for them to set up a store with one few clicks and show them this is how it's going to look. So just choose that button yes, and you're good to go. So I'm going to hit next here, and we'll move on here. Now, it might take a couple seconds here because it's doing all the plumbing in the background, creating all the necessary data structure and everything that it needs to do for the first time.
All right, Mandeep, we have a question while that's loading, and Daniel, I'll read it unless you just want to ask it, but he's saying, a question about the currency conversion. Is there a configurable provider or something, or what is used for the calculation?
So, great question. At the moment in the beta, you could put in a conversion rate, and that's not a great solution because those change kind of in real time or sometimes on hourly or daily basis. But by the time we get to official release, which we're targeting within a month now, we have an extension that's going to plug in, which you could then configure to automatically update the exchange rates for you, let's say every hour, every half an hour, every day, based on a central exchange union or exchange provider. And you would be able to set up how often that needs to run. And then you could also add, let's say, that if the exchange rate, let's say it's 1.5, then you can say, hey, I want to add a 1% or 2% on top of that, or I want to add a fixed flat on top of that just to cover whatever logistic cost might be. So at the moment in the beta, we'll take a look once we actually set it up. You could specify exchange rate, type in whatever you want, but that solution seems like you can go in every day and update that. But we will have an automatic provider as well. All right. Did that answer the question?
Yep, I think we're good.
All right, sounds good. So right now with the beta 1, we got a bunch of these providers in there for payment providers. You got your regular authorized.net, we got PayPal Express, we got PayPal Pro, we got Square, we got Stripe, and we got WorldPay. While you're setting this up, to set these up, it's extremely easy. You can check one off and then just put in your credentials and you're done. And as a matter of fact, I can do that right here. I'm just going to open another window and kind of copy paste. There's some credentials there. So I'm going to go ahead and set PayPal up. I hit update there, and I can do the same thing for authorized.net. Here, so many credentials floating here. I have to.
Hold on so I can screenshot on it.
I hope you can't see them. Can you see them? I actually configured it so you can't see the screen.
Not this one, no, I don't think. And the other one had dots on. I'm just joking with you.
Okay. All right. Well, it doesn't matter. They're sandbox credentials, so it's easy to quickly turn them off. So it has the ability that you want to do authorize only, or you want to do a complete capture at a time. So that's down there. So that we just set up our payments. I'm going to hit next, and it's asking, are you going to be shipping physical goods? If so, it's going to ask you the origin, zip code where you're shipping from. And at this point, you can do set up the fixed shipping. And I believe there's a USPS one that I probably forgot to install. It's not listing here. And there'll be more like FedEx and UPS that's going to ship with the official release. The fixed one is like flat rate stuff, so it's pretty easy to configure too. For example, let's say I want to do ground shipping, and just created a shipping method called ground, and I can go to rates. Then I can say for ground, let's say if I'm doing flat rate anywhere within the United States, I can say it's a flat rate box kind of concept. So I'm just going to charge them $7.25, and that's there right there. If I want to, so this is like a blanket statement. But let's say if I want a different rate for Hawaii, then I can add another one. Let's leave that one there and add new, and say for United States, Hawaii, and I can even go down to a zip code if I want to cover a specific zip code. But I can say for Hawaii, it's going to be $11. So that's a flat rate. Now you could do a simple flat rate, so it doesn't matter how many, what's actually going out, or you could do a percentage of an order. So there's certain businesses that charge by percentage. So if you order like $200 worth, I will charge you 5% for shipping. So you do 5. And then there's also, of course, by weight, which makes the most sense. So if the package weight is, let's say, 10 pounds, you're saying we're going to charge $5 per pound, and this will be auto-computed. But still, this is all fixed. It's not real-time. Versus if you're using USPS, FedEx, or UPS, then the rate will be calculated real-time based on the origin and destination zip codes and so forth. So I'll just leave those two there for demo really quick. And again, this is all through just setup wizard to kind of quickly set things up, but you can always change this or add a lot more stuff through the configuration. So it's asking, will you be charging taxes? And same thing, there's fixed charge taxes concept here. You basically create a tax schedule, which is similar to like a tax category. In certain states, it's like generic sales tax, but then in certain areas and regions, then there's a different tax rate, and depending on the category, different tax rate on electronics versus liquor versus there's no taxes on certain categories and so forth. So you would just give it a category here, give it a percentage, figure out the country, state, and zip it applies to. And again, this is kind of blanket. So if you want the same generic for the entire country, do that one, and then if you want to override, then you can create more for specific states or zip codes.
So Mandy, we got a question from Daniel. Daniel, if I don't structure it correctly, please feel free to chime in. But he's asking if you can offer a flat rate for some locations, but use an online provider for different locations, like edge cases.
I believe so. You could have multiple tax providers configured, just like we did multiple payment providers. So when the client is, the end user or the visitor is checking out, they will see all the shipping options that are available to them based on their destination zip code, and they're sorted by, I believe, the lowest rate first, and then they can go ahead and decide how they want to check out. So you could give them the option to check out with USPS or FedEx or UPS if you want to configure them all three, including your fixed flat rate stuff.
Yeah, let me explain a bit better the situation we have here in Quebec, which is you can ship across Canada and all the major cities for, let's say, a small box, like maximum $10, you're good. But we have the Great North. The same package is going to cost you $200 to ship there. So a lot of stores want to offer, free shipping with a little star and some exceptions apply, and that would work only by postal code. Is that something that would be supported?
Yes, so that is something that's built in, like I was showing earlier, so I'll just hit it back really quick. So you could then, go ahead in your rates and choose the entire country and give it a flat rate. But then for certain zip codes or certain states, if you want to charge more, then go ahead. So if this, like I said, this is what I'm saying. This, if you just provide a country, then that's like generic for the entire country. But then you create another one for that same country in a state, then basically you're overriding the generic one with this one for this particular state. So you're saying the entire country, I'm going to do $5, but if somebody's going to California, then we're going to do a different price. And you can actually override that down to a particular zip code like you're asking.
So it can be on the zip code level.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right.
So I know we haven't gotten too far away from shipping, and I was going to ask one more shipping question that actually brings together your initial store settings, your preferences, and then the shipping values. We were using another store system recently where we encountered problems because the store was a Canadian store, and it was putting in metric weight and metric information, which was perfectly fine within the store, but they were wanting to use a United States-based UPS account, and therefore connecting in the shipping broke because UPS only wants you to deal in dollars and pounds, and doesn't allow you to then have the other. So unfortunately, even though they're a Canadian store, we had to switch all of their standards to be separate, and that's just because the shipping provider there was built badly in this other system. So have you heard of that problem? Have you considered a way around that?
So the way the system is designed right now, I think it will work. It'll just work right. Even though you are going to go ahead and define, let's say, all the weights and metric, but when you can talk to UPS, we know that UPS expects them in pounds and so forth. So we will do the conversion and send it over. And we can do the conversion because the system supports already those multiple measures and weights and has the conversion ratios in place. So you could continue to enter everything in kilograms, and it should work seamlessly with UPS and USPS. Because when we're sending the information out to them, we will convert them into what they're expecting.
All right, so Mandeep's is 2 for 2 on the Stump Mandeep's question. We can't stump him.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go. I'm not going to actually go ahead and create any tax rates and schedules because that import sample data will actually do that for me, so it'll save us some time. So let's hit finish here and give it a couple seconds here to really quick do its magic. And again, this is beta, so we should really be seeing some loading icon and nice progress bars. But we'll save that for official release. So there we go. The store just got set up, and this is one of my favorite parts of the store. It's called the dashboard. Because by the way, we're dog fooding this software on our own Mandeeps.com. So, and we've been doing that for about past 4 and 5 months, running it on our live site. We always do that with any software that we sell, that we use it ourselves. Make sure we don't run into any issues before we actually officially release it. So what you're seeing is the dashboard here, and it's one of my favorite reports. Is month-to-date sales, and it's and like I said, the sample data got imported in, and it happens dynamically, which means if you were to install this module and demo to a client 3 months from now, it will have fresh data, different data every time, different sales every time for the current dates and so forth. So you're never looking at the same picture. It's always different, and you always have data up to the date you installed it. So as you can see, we have some sales even today. What I like about this view the best is it's giving me a comparison of current month sales with the last month. I mean, my month-to-date sale right now is this much, and last month-to-date was about that. So we know we're doing a little bit better than last month. And you could see that here. The green is this month, and the brownish or yellowish, I can't really tell which color the team chose here, is kind of in the background. So it can kind of give you a nice graph how you compare current month to the last month. Similarly, you can go ahead and change this, and you can do week to date and see how do we compare this week to last week. You can change that to quarter to date, so you can see how did we do in the quarter. Now, this is an interesting report because we are in the first month of the quarter, and we don't have 30 days yet. That's why it's showing you by date. But once you cross the first month, it has the whole month worth of data. This will switch into a monthly view where you can actually compare the 3 months with the previous 3 months. Kind of similar to, let's see, if I do last 90 days worth of sales, it will show you month by month like this. So you'll have 2 graphs there to see this quarter versus last quarter. And then obviously you have the year to date, which is all-time favorite because you can really see where you're going. You can see this year the sales have been down about $20-some thousand. And again, this is all sample data. These are the transactions in the current period. And quick reporting, quick glance. I absolutely love this. It gives me a pretty good top view of what's happening. And if we need to change gears and do something about, make sure to get the numbers up or something. So all the week to date down till year to date, these are doing automatically comparison with the previous week or previous month, previous quarter, or the previous year. Other than that, you have your today, yesterday, your last 7 days worth of sales. By default, I think it defaults to month to date, so you can always see what's going on. And then, of course, you got your custom, so you can punch in specific dates and see what happened.
Hey, Mandeep, I have a question. So you're showing a lot of different views of data here, which is awesome. I'm wondering if I wanted to build a little widget as if there were multiple modules on a custom dashboard for me or whatever. Is that possible, or on the roadmap, if I wanted to see the month and the week, for whatever reason on the same screen without having to talk?
And perhaps let me add on to that too. I was going to ask you, where is this screen? I'm taking a look at the URL, trying to figure out, am I in a special view? Is this running out of desktop modules? Is this an actual page within the website? What are we looking at here now that we're in the store that started being set up?
Okay, great question. So let me, after we set up the store, we're by default into the back-end administration. So I can hit View Store, and that will take me back to the front end. I can show you the front end really quick. And when you come to the back end, and this is for your admins, or you can specify who gets access to the back end, and actually has granular permissions, which is one of my other favorite part. I'll show it really quick. But this is the front end. So to get in the back end, you basically click this, and that's if you're an admin or if you have access to get to the back end. And the first thing you do is you get to the dashboard. In terms of technically, if this is a page or what exactly is going on, this is an ASCX page that we use for all of our modules as basically a host or a container to then actually load our SPA application. So everything is SPA here. It's using AngularJS, HTML, and HTML5 and JS, and that's across all of our modules at this point. Does that answer your question, Ryan?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so yeah, we're just basically looking at the back end, and from here, this was just sales data. I believe Clint asked the question: is can you create your own views and kind of create your own portlays or tiles and so forth to see if you want to see the weekly data and the monthly data and the yearly data all in one shot? So the answer is no, not at the moment. That's not available in Dashboard. But we have a product called Live Dashboard, which has not been doing a whole lot, and we will offer down the road integration with our StoreFront module, because the Live Dashboard modules allow you to create your own nice tiles. So you can create them by you can create multiple columns. You can drag and drop and decide where you want to keep your tiles. You want to maximize, you want to minimize, what size you want them, and so forth. So it does all that work, and then it will basically allow you to integrate with Live StoreFront, and you can simply choose which report you want to show and which tile. And that works on a user permission basis. So if Clint logs in, he has his own dashboard. If somebody else logs in, they have their own dashboard. So they can customize it the way they want.
Yeah, that's great. That means you can make a page specifically for your boss who just wants to see a certain view set of data every Monday, first Monday of the month, or whatever it is.
That's correct. And Live Dashboard already allows you to pull in data from RSS feeds and iframes And it's also going to be integrated into one of our upcoming products called Live Visualizer. So it will really open up the door so you can write your own SQL queries and stuff, create your own reports and charts, and kind of show all that in a one integrated view.
Nice.
All right. So on the top here is our action items, basically. This one right here just showing new orders that came in today. The sample data basically created an order for each day, so you're seeing one. On hold are orders that are interesting in a sense as, let's say, if you're using PayPal Express for people to check out. And these are the orders that customers who've checked out and went to the PayPal and then decided to abandon. So it's showing you right here that these are pending, and these should really fulfill within a matter of minutes if they decide to actually pay on PayPal, or never if they decide to abandon. So there's the maintenance task that actually goes ahead and take care of these orders, and you can specify keep them on for 30 days or whatever day you choose. So that's one scenario where you have on hold orders. The other scenario is like we on our own side, we offer clients to buy using purchase orders. So they can add products to the cart, and then they say, hey, I want to send a PO to actually purchase this. So it's kind of in a pending state where we don't have the payment and we don't have the PO, so it's on hold. Great way for me to see what's happening. Kind of the orders that I'm expecting to be coming in, but not 100%. So that's what that is right there. Ready for payment are those is if you have configured your payment provider to only authorize and not capture the payment. And a lot of business and a lot of regions have the laws specifically to address that. Some regions says you cannot ship you cannot charge the customer until you actually ship the product. So in that case, you basically just do an authorization and you do the capture at time of shipment. So this is showing you got 41 payments waiting to capture. Basically, these are the orders that were authorized but not captured. So that's what that is. Ready for shipping are the products that actually require shipping. So they have physical goods that need to be shipped out, and the payment has been made, so they're ready to go out. So this is a screen that a shipping manager or someone would come and take a look. And this dashboard is also dynamic. So right now I'm logged in as an admin, so I see everything. But if you give access to, let's say, a shipping manager to come in, he will still see the dashboard, but he will only see what he needs to see, and none of the sales stuff. So you could granularly set it up what anyone has access to. On the other hand, if I have a product manager, or inventory manager, or a warehouse manager who's responsible for entry, then I don't necessarily want them to see any of the sales or on hold or ready for payment, but they could see ready for shipping and or low stock products. So pretty cool stuff there. Low stock is basically telling you have one product that's running low on stock, so you want to do something about it. All right, let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, let's say you started. We were pretty good on time, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. As much as you need.
All right. All right. So let's. I'm going to cover the back end first. I'm going to try to run this as quickly as I can. There's a lot going on in this product. I'm not sure if we can fit everything in an hour or hour and a half, but we'll try and run as quickly as we can. And feel free to ask questions, intervene whenever you want. So there's categories, usual stuff here, unlimited hierarchical categories, so you can create a tree view, good drag and drop support to kind of arrange stuff. You can create a new category, choose a parent, name, description. You could override the page size. I'm going to probably do a new window here so we can kind of switch back and forth, look at the front end and the back end. So if you look at the front end here, we have a page size set to 10 right now. You're seeing 10 items, but you may want for specific categories to have a different page size. So you can go ahead and do that, specify here. We got visibility. Is this category active or not? And if we want to show this category in the category or in the navigation widget. So hold on to these. Once we get to those widgets, we'll look at them. But what's important here is throughout Live StoreFront, SEO is super important. So every category, every every product, everything that has its own page has its own URL. And you could go ahead and call it whatever you want. And for example, let's say we're looking at, I haven't put the widgets here for the categories, but I will get there in a sec. But let's look at Apple MacBook Pro for a sec. So this one has Apple MacBook Pro in the URL, and you see that we have this page name in there too. You have the option to get rid of that as well. So you have total control over your URL. So you could literally have it say dev.com/Apple MacBook Pro 5, and it will work just fine. That is a setting that you can configure in the module that you don't want page names in the URL. So total control. Let's look at an existing one. See, cancel that and hit edit and go to SEO. So there's a URL for this category right here. And you can actually see a history if you ever change it. So live storefront, and this happens at the product, category, manufacturer, every level. It will automatically maintain a history of every URL that had. So if I decide to change this, let's say to, and the reason it says electronic 4 is I probably imported the same data 4 or 5 times. So it's not letting me to duplicate URLs. But let's just say test, hit update here, and I'm going to go back and show you really quick that is the current URL. What's interesting is it's remembering that it used to be electric 4, and it automatically does any 301 redirects for you. So you don't have to do a thing. You feel free to change and the URLs as you like, and it automatically it will still serve electric 4. It'll redirect them to electric test and do a 301, so the search engines can update the URLs. And that is kind of built in across the products, categories, manufacturers. As a matter of fact, all of the modules that we build have that feature kind of in it.
Is that using the same core DNN URL rewriter table for those references, or is that using something else?
So it's not using the core table. It is using the URL extension provider feature of DNN platform, which allows you to have your own extension provider, I believe. What's the word? So extension URL provider. So Live Storefront ships with its own. Well, this is actually a feature of our library called Mandeep's URL library, which we share across all our products, and that creates a DNN extension URL provider, which then goes ahead and does that. So now it's not messing with any of the core tables. This is using the recommended way in DNN to handle this.
Can you delete those URLs after they're created if, you know, in a case I made some changes before publishing the store live?
So not at the moment, but that's a functionality. Again, that's really part of our URL library. That's something that you will be able to do down the line. Should be a very easy thing for us to do. Right now, it's just giving you a read-only view, but you will be able to down the road switch. So if you ever want to go back to the old URL, just kind of click here and you're done. And I'll also give you the ability to delete as long as that's not the current default URL.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do, and it is, again, this actually a product called Mandeep's URL library that's kind of shared with our Live Exchange, Live Blog, Live Knowledge Base, all our products. So once we add that functionality, it'll roll out to every module we have. All right. You could actually override the template or theme at a specific category level. So if you have a specific category of products and you want it to brand and have it look differently, that's easy enough to do. Choose a theme and choose a template, and you're done. I'm going to kind of carry on here because we have mammoth of stuff to look here. Manufacturers is pretty much identical to categories. They're just not hierarchical, but they have the same cool stuff, name and page size and visibility, SEO and theme, all that same applies. Really the heart of backend is the products. You got all your product collection here, and you can search and you can do filters based on manufacturer and categories and so forth. So let's click on new product and kind of really run down through this and see what options we have. All right, so we got our generic stuff, the name of the product, a quick summary, a description, SKU, the G10, and G10 I believe is like a UPC or the Global Trade Identification Number. Choose the manufacturer, so cool stuff. And the visibility is where it's a little bit more interesting stuff. You could have this product appear in search results and catalog, or only in search results, or only in catalog, or not visible at all, but you could have you can give a URL out to somebody and they can hit the product using the URL only. So some of those visibility options. If you decide to make the product active, then you can choose that it's going to become available in the store on a specific date and it's going to disappear on a specific date. So you could do that to schedule it, kind of. You could also make product new by giving it a date range. So for example, if we're just adding this product now, I want this to be listed as a new product for next 2 weeks, so we can do that. And I'm going to kind of go back here to show that if you do that, then you kind of get a label, like this one says free shipping. You get a label on the top that says new product. Let's see if there's any, this one like says sale. So you get a new product label that shows up. And then obviously, if you're showing latest products or somewhere, then it kind of gets highlighted there too. So that's that. You could have it so people can leave reviews on this product, people can leave rating at this product, and if this product is featured, so you can do that as well. That's for the visibility. Then we have the pricing. The price we want to sell this product. I think it'd be better if I take an existing product, so we have some data. Let's just take this MacBook Pro. So let's go to pricing. So we're selling this one for $18.49 USD, and that's the default currency we chose. If you decide to have this product go on sale, you can always say $1,800, and then what's going to happen is I was showing it'll start saying sale, and then instead of $18.49, it'll cross it out and it'll show $1,800. You can limit the sale to certain dates that it will automatically start on the 18th and kind of end on the 21st, or you can leave it out and then we'll continue to show until somebody comes and takes the sale price out. We got the product cost, and this is great for some of the reports we have built in to kind of give you profit reports and so forth, but it's not required. But if you have a cost, and that's weird. You got a cost more than the selling price, but this should be more realistic, like $15.50 or something, whatever. But it's really not doing anything in the front end. The only purpose of this is for reporting, so we can run some reports for you. There are scenarios where you don't want people to actually buy the product for whatever reason, so you can always come and disable the buy button. And some people don't want their pricing displayed, then you can do call for pricing, and it will show that instead to give a call. Groups and tiers is pretty neat. Some scenarios where you want different special pricing for special group of people. Let's say you're Costco, and if those who have membership get different pricing. So you could choose a role. I don't have any roles, so let's just call it administrators. That if an administrator logs in, his price is not going to be $18.49. It's going to be $1,800. So now it will show different prices to different roles who's logged in. This also kind of goes into tiers. So let's say you're a wholesale store, and you want everybody to get this. If they buy 5 or more, then it's only $1,800, and if they buy, let's say, 10 or more, then it's $1,700. So you can use groups and tiers to kind of set your pricing structure, targeting specific roles and even specific quantities. So.
Mandeep, we have one question from Daniel. Is saying, can you have a product not shippable, but it can still be purchased and like have an in-store only pickup? So it's like you're ordering a product and you don't want to ship it online, but you want to pay for it, but you want to physically go to the store to pick it up.
So not at the moment. That would be the perfect feature request on our LSF beta testing page that I'll share at the end. You could have one of the shipping providers as an in-store pickup. But from what I'm understanding, if I understand the question correctly, you want rest of the cart or to go the way it is, but this one particular product to be picked up in store only.
Yes, let's say you sell electronics and a 60-inch TV. You don't want to ship that. You want to be able to sell it, but come pick it up in store.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have that, although I think it's pretty easy to accommodate that because we have something called like free shipping flag on particular products, so we can have another flag here called in-store pickup only. And you can just hit yes, and that will make sure that particular product doesn't. But it's not built in. Something I would say if you just put in a feature request on that LSF beta testing page that I'll share here, then we'll go ahead and put that in.
Actually, if it gets into a feature request, I think of a better way of doing this, where you could have a shipping provider that's not shipping, that's in-store pickup only, and on the product level, you can untick some shipping providers, because there might be some items, like I know for TVs, UPS does not cover broken screens. Canada Post does cover it with the insurance, so you might want to have some products with some shipping providers.
No, I like that, and I agree. I mean, I was thinking along the same lines because ultimately you basically want to restrict the shipping provider you want to use, and we could simply just create another in-store pickup as a shipping provider. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But like I said, if you could document there, right now we're kind of full pace ahead, and we have lots of people working on it. It will get in there right away. So if you could just kind of create a post, I'm sure somebody will pick that up and run with it. All right.
Way about shipping providers for specific products, that once you get to certain weight, sometimes certain items are only available to be carried by a certain, freight carrier, for instance, and then if you order a mixed order, half your order might go by UPS, while the other one goes by train in some other shipping provider. So,
well, now we're going into a territory of custom business requirements, and the way I think to solve that with Live StoreFront is we have the extensibility built in, so you could actually create a custom extension and then hook in any part of the product lifecycle, or so we could say that at checkout we can create an extension that at checkout will check if there's any product that is over a certain limit or weight, then we will automatically have that shipped through a different shipping provider and update the checkout page to reflect that. I'm not really sure if that's something we want to build into the product itself, because then we're kind of colluding the product. If we keep adding every business requirement, then you have to make a decision at what point is it too complex for the administrator to kind of just use, versus having some simple, just having a product that's restricted to a provider makes perfect sense to me. But then saying only restrict this if the weight is more than this or less than this, and then you're not referring to the weight of the product, you're referring to the weight of the entire cart or the checkout. So that is definitely a custom business requirement. That would probably have to be an extension. But the good news is, like I said, the extensibility part is built in. You can quickly write that extension with less than 20 lines of code and achieve what you want.
It's almost like he's built products for people before.
All right, so let's move on. We got, like I said, there's not much categories. There's lots going on there. So we got tax, and this is where you said this product has tax on it or not, and this one doesn't. So you can say no, and if it does, you are charging taxes, then we choose which category, which tax category applies. So for example, this one's electronics, and that should apply. All right, let's go to categories. This is simple stuff. You just check the categories where this product belongs. In this case, it's a notebook and computers, so cool stuff. This one doesn't have any specifications, but we'll look at a cases there. And this one doesn't have any variations, but we'll look at a case there too really quick. SEO we've already covered in categories, so same stuff goes. Any URL you want, any title, any description you want, the history and 301 redirect there. You can upload images for the product here. You can browse your file system right here. And Ryan was mentioning about consistent layout and UI across our modules. So if you've used any of our other modules, the backend UI and the controls you're seeking, these are all built in-house. They all look the same. So if you've learned how to use one product, you've pretty much learned how to use all of them. Here's the cool stuff. Inventory management. You can manage inventory. Well, you can choose not to manage inventory at all, and that'll be great for services and then digital downloads and so forth. Or you can manage it by a product if you don't have variations, or you can manage it by variations. This is basically showing how much you have in stock. This is showing. You can leave this blank, but let's say you want the product to show out of stock when it drops down to 2 or drops down to 1. And the reason is you always want to keep one in hand for, let's say, your your brick and mortar store. So you always want to hold on to one, or you know that there's inventory errors and the inventory that reflects is not always correct, or you know that any retail business has shrinkage and you probably lost a couple items to employees who've actually walked out with them. So in that case, you don't have to wait for it to go to 0. You can always put a number that whatever you want at 5. If it hits 5, it's going to become out of stock. Same thing here. You want to issue a low stock warning. Let's say when it hits 6 or something, and you can decide what you want to do at low stock. You can do nothing. You can stop it from being purchased. You can make it inactive. Wise thing would be to not do anything here. But you can. The most important thing is when it does hit low stock, what do you want to do? You can go ahead and notify someone. And here is giving me an option who to notify. And this right here, mandeep.com, is the default email address that got created when I was setting up the wizard. So good time to take a look at that. If I go to store and go to notifications, I can configure as many email accounts as I want. So here I could say, for example, my warehouse manager, and this could come from our store, anything. And this is the warehouse manager at mandeep.com. So now I've added this in, and if I were to refresh the page or add it again, just to update and continue, maybe that will bring it in. Nope, I'll have to cancel out and go back in. And I will basically I will then see wrong product. Let's go right here. So if I go to inventory, I will now see the option to send an email out to the warehouse manager. So it will say when that low stock hits, it'll send an email out to the warehouse manager letting them know that we need to reorder or whatever. We can also kind of enforce a minimum order quantity. So if you're selling a product that somebody must buy at least 2 of, you can say 2 here. You can also do a maximum. You want to limit how much they can buy. You can buy more than 2 at a time, then you can do that. You can show your stock availability in the catalog on the front end. If you don't want to do that, say no. But if you do want to show, then you got more options. You can show individual quantities, like do you really want to say 10 items in stock, or do you just want to say in stock? So you have that granular control. If you do show the availability, then you have this option of calculated, which is real time. Or you can come here and force it to always show in stock, even though you have nothing. It's one of those, the Pokemons get so popular and you sold out, but you want to continue selling them because you have something coming tomorrow. You don't even have time to update these. Just come here and hit it in stock. It will continue to show in stock regardless. And same goes for out of stock. But normally we probably want to keep this calculated, which is real time. I think the label probably can use a better label than calculated. That's inventory. Once we have variations, then you can manage it at variation level too. If a product requires shipping, you would choose yes. You can say if this product ships for free, and if you do that, then that free shipping label kind of appears right there on the top. Otherwise, you can put the weight, length, width, height of that product. If you want to charge an additional shipping charge, let's say that 60-inch TV is bulky, you want to charge another $20 for it. You can do that here, and that kind of gets add on to whatever shipping provider actually decides to charge. So you can control that at product level. Supports digital downloads, so you can go ahead and upload your download files that the user would then get access to after they purchase the product. You can limit the downloads to, let's say, 5 downloads only, and only for 30 days. Or you can keep it unlimited downloads and leave this at 0 forever.
So Mandeep's got a question. Is there an API to update inventories from other systems?
Not at the moment. So this is, again, the beta release. Our goal is to get the initial product out, and then the next version would work on the, I mean, of course, there's APIs out there that are just not exposed. Since the entire product is built on SPA development pattern, everything is running through Web API. Everything you see is being called through Web API. So for us to actually expose that functionality is not a whole lot of work, but we don't want to take that at the moment, because just documenting the process, it's far more work than the feature set itself. But it's already there. It's kind of built in. The Web APIs are there. They're just not exposed, and we don't intend to do that in the first version at this time.
Gotcha. Good to hear that that is on the roadmap. I think that'll be on.
Yeah, I mean, it's already there. The Web APIs are already written. The only thing we'll have to do is we'll have to create obviously some kind of security framework on who can access them. Right now we're leveraging DNN services framework, so all the Web API calls work off who's logged in. But if you are going to make a call through a legacy system, then we need to have some kind of token-based approach where you need to kind of go in and authenticate yourself before you can make those calls. So that part is missing, and that's why we're not exposing those APIs yet.
Gotcha.
So in digital downloads, I mean, you can have as many downloads you want. You can choose one or multiple files, and then you can also include sample download files. So these will be available on the listing page without them purchasing. So they can kind of download and say this could be the first 5 pages of an ebook, trial version of a software, and so forth. Cool stuff. We actually got some feedback from a user who's doing beta testing, and so this feature is getting improved in beta 2, which is probably 2 weeks out. This download links are secure. Download links are time-sensitive token-based, so the links auto-expire like a few minutes later. So it's like you cannot start sharing them and so forth. So a lot of cool features that are going to digital downloads.
Is the extensibility system, is that part of the digital downloads as well, in case I wanted to maybe modify a file before it streams down to the user? Like, for example, some companies will stamp PDF documents as digital downloads to put maybe this was purchased by X organization, they'll distribute that kind of thing.
So not at the moment, but again, that is something easily we can add. And if you put a post request, we will make sure that it's there before even the official release. We can probably put in beta 2 within 2 weeks. Where what we'll do is when somebody asks for a download, when it goes through our API to actually give them the downloaded file, so the extensibility is basically an event-based system. If you can see my screen, basically we will call basically your method, your custom method, and you can kind of hook up into the methods, and you will hook up into the method call when somebody's trying to download their file. So before we actually give them the file, we will call into your method, we will pass the file to you. You do whatever you want to do with it, and then when you return that file to us, we will hand it back to them. So again, the extensibility framework is there. We use it on our own site because we do a lot of custom business logics and process. So the only thing that's missing is we don't have a hook in right now for the digital download, and we can add that in. Like I said, we can do that in less than half an hour, and we can definitely make that available in beta 2 within 2 weeks.
It's awesome.
Yeah, just make sure that if these features are important to you, just make sure you do actually create a post because we're running off whatever feature request right there in the beta. We're giving that our top priority, so I'll assure you it'll get done if you add it in there. All right, let's go on. Move on. You could limit a product to certain security rules. So if you don't want that product open to the entire world, only those who are in specific security rule can see them, including down to a specific user. So as you can see, a lot of work and details went into this product. And considering the fact you can have 1 million products to sell, this a lot of performance and data considerations went into it. So that's that. Let's go to marketing. For this product, you can add related products. Let's see, this was a MacBook Pro, so let's see. Let's say I want to show this all-in-one computer as a related product. You can do filter, search, same UI that you saw in the orders to look up your product, select multiple, hit add, and there's my related product. I can do upsells. So somebody's trying to buy that at $18.49. That's an upsell in itself, but they're buying a Mac product, I mean Apple product, so I'll try and sell. This is a cross-sell. I don't have an upsell, but you get the point, right? Maybe a different, more expensive version of MacBook. You can add those, and then you have cross-sell. Hey, you're getting a MacBook, buy an iPhone as well. And all of these appear at the appropriate places. So, for example, the related products will appear. I can kind of do this really quick, update and continue. And if you go to the store, where's my? And we have not even looked at the front end yet. Can you give me a heads up when I'm half an hour out? Or is it half an hour out already?
It kind of is now, but this is the meat and potatoes of what we want to be seeing. I had made some notes earlier and said that if we end up getting into order management a little bit, refunds and the complexity of order management, if we take a look at templates, even to just a grace by it and see how you're doing templates, and then we get into some of the things, you know, about technical things, because I'd love to ask a little bit about how the data is, how roles are, how users are, some things like that. So,
okay, great. So let me cover this really quick. Then we'll cover the front end really quick, and then we'll open up for questions. So this way we can look at specific things, because there's no way we can cover this product even in 2 or 3 hours. So the related products will show here. The upsells will say, you know, those who looked at this product ultimately decided to buy this one, which is your upsell. When you are actually at the checkout page and you're buying this computer, then it's going to show you those who bought this also bought the phone. So that's what the cross-sell is. So you got all 3 options there, and then you can also override the theme and the template as specific product basics, and that's right here. So this is for catalog products. This is your product reviews that people are leaving. You can edit them, approve them here, and so forth. And then specifications. So specifications is important. I'd like to cover that, especially things like T-shirts. You know, you're selling 2 different sizes and 2 different colors and so forth. So as you can see, we got a size here and color option here, and that kind of goes with variation too. Let me see if we have a short here. We do. So let's see. There's well, we're using the specific. They don't have it set up. All right, let's find another product that does. So let's look at this one. This one using variation and specifications, and with variations, as you can see, it's letting you choose different options to configure your PC. Right there, so variation options, and if this is just a T-shirt, you would choose a size and color, and it'll be done. But this one has a lot more. So specifications get used for 2 things: for variations, to build these variations out, so you can have different pricing, different rate, and you know, different inventory management based on that. But they also get used for things like maybe this is a good example to switch over to our site. So I could show you that if I wanted to compare, for example, live forums, and I'm going to hit compare here, to live campaign. I got that. Okay. And I'm going to click right here to see the comparison view. the only specification I had was a DNN platform. So it gives, the specification gets used when you're building the comparison charts. So you could see that this particular product is compatible with these version of platform, and this one's compatible with these version, and so forth. It's far more interesting if you have a lot more specifications. For example, this shirt comes in 6 colors, this one only comes in 2, this one comes in 10 sizes, this one comes in 2, and so forth. So that's what specifications get used to. The other thing it gets used for, and that's really important, and another complex piece of component that we had to put in, is this refine by. So you could then filter on the specifications. For example, in our case, you can filter on edition, edition of the product, the price range, and you only want to probably look at products that are compatible with DNN 9, or you only want to look at products that work with our workflow library, and so forth. So these are the specifications, and like I said, they get used in refine by, they get used in comparison, they get used to build variations, and so forth. So that's what specifications is. Let's move on really quick. Sales orders, this is where all your orders are. This is where the dashboard was bringing me. When I hit new orders, it was doing the filtering for me, and it was only showing orders for today. If I take those tags out, then I'm looking kind of all the orders that tracked in. Looks like I have to have something to search by, or I can just go in orders, and I'm looking at all the orders that came in. You can search, obviously, the orders based on the order number, the order GUID, even the transaction IDs that you get back from your payment providers. For example, these right here, these are demos, but let's say PayPal give you a transaction ID, then you can search by those, or if you're using Square or something else. So whatever information customer service needs to look up an order, they can kind of paste that in here, including the customer name and stuff, and go with that. You can look up an order really quick, see what the status is, see what the payment status is. This is again demo information because it's a demo sale, but in real information you will get everything back that the payment provider returned in terms of technical data. If you need to get access to, you can see if the payment is paid or not. Ryan, you were asking about a refund, so you can do those right here. If it supports, your payment supports a partial refund, you can add an amount and do that. If there's a full refund option, I think that button shows up too. I don't know why this one's just doing partial. You can manually change the status around if you need to. For example, if you process the payment offline and you want to mark as paid. Say,
do you create custom statuses as well, or is it a set list?
So no, order statuses are set. You got pending, which means just an order got created, nothing happened. You got processing, that usually means that it got moved to the next stage where it's now ready to go to shipping, and that happens when we have some kind of payment, or at least a promise of payment, like through an authorization or through a purchase order that came in or something like that. And then it goes from basically complete. So pending, processing, complete. The only other two statuses are for order is the order got canceled or it got refunded. And for payment, you got basically two statuses. Well, sorry, that's not correct. There's a bunch of them here. Pending, which means nothing happened yet. Authorized, we got an authorization. We got paid. This is capture, or it has been partially refunded, or it has been completely refunded. So those are the statuses. With shipping, it either got shipped. Shipping is not required because it doesn't have any shippable products in the order, or it's ready for shipping, which means it's waiting for shipping to go out. We're missing a status here, and that's because we probably don't have anything. Well, that's called partially shipped, where you ship few items, but not the whole order yet. And that happens right here in shipments, where you can see, I believe shipments is one of the functions they're still working on and completing, but we can still continue where we were. This was order header, more of a summary of what's happening. The address information would appear here, the billing and shipping, and this needs to be polished up in the way they look. What was bought, if any shipments were created. If not, you can do one from here, and then there's a log that gets maintained of anything that happens to the order. visible to system means the client cannot see it, but there's going to be an option where an admin can type in notes here, so that and the client can also look at some of the logs if they need to, and admin decides if they have the access to that log or not. If your shipping manager can come in and say add shipment at this point, they bought one Apple iPhone according to the ordered one, how many just typos, quantity to ship, you can say if there was more than one, you can say, I only have one right now, so I'm shipping one. There's a tracking number that goes there. Obviously, these are the things you wouldn't do manually if you're integrated with USPS or UPS, but if you have a fixed flat shipping, then you would put in the tracking number manually, kind of hit save, and then shipment gets created, and we'll show that a shipment ID was created with a tracking number when it was shipped. If you click on the shipment ID, then it will basically bring you down to the shipment right here, which is this one right there. I'll show you that in that particular shipment, these products and these quantities were shipped. So that's sales stuff. Store is where all of your settings and good stuff is. If you want to add or move countries you sell to, they go right here, whether we support billing, shipping, if we apply VAT to a particular country, and these actually go down to the regions. So same thing, for example, this should have the search filter. I'm not going to go look for United States. That's something we need. Okay, all right. So you have regions here, and then you could say I don't want to ship to California, or I don't want to build people to order from California. So you can uncheck those, and same thing with subject to VAT, and that's usually for European countries. This shouldn't be here, but right now, like I said, in beta, so it looks like they've enabled it for every country out there. Same thing with currencies. You want to sell in another currency, we'll add it here. Let's say euro, and I can do that for just demo really quick. I'll call this exchange currency, and that's where your conversion rate is right now, that you can manually update as you need to, but we will have a button extension that will automatically update for you. I'm going to add that in just in case if we get to the demo to actually show the currency. So entire Live StoreFront is built on extensibility. So there's extensions for payments, for shipping, for tax, for widgets. These are the kind of similar to how DNN extensions works, but this is happening within a module. You got all these extensions that were installed but not being used. If you want to use it in the module, you just check it off here, and then it appears here. If you're using PayPal Express, you don't want it to be, you want it to show as PayPal, so you'll just say PayPal at the checkout. Authorize.net, you can kind of have it show as credit card, so all that. You could drag and drop to set which payment method should appear first. You can set the default payment method that should be checked by default, so they don't even have to click on anything. Shipping, same thing. I think we were missing. Let me go to. You can hit sync extensions, and looks like I didn't install the shipping one. But we also have the Google Analytics extension built in, and this is the enhanced e-commerce one. So it passes, once you enable that, it passes all the information out to Google, from each page view to each interaction where somebody clicked add to cart to it went moved to the cart to checkout and all that stuff. Really awesome, because you and it's pretty easy to set up. Do you want to use an existing tracking code? Yes, which basically means that you already have tracking code on the page, and that's it. I mean, you hit update and it's going to do all the work. And if the answer is no, then you just paste your tracking code here, and then from there it picks up your account IDs and so forth and does everything else. So pretty powerful stuff there, because you could see your entire analytics over at Google. And it's not just basic, it's the enhanced e-commerce integration for Google. So you will add all your extensions here. There are a bunch of widgets which we haven't even gone to, and that's the front-end stuff. Front-end runs on that, but we'll get there in quickly. Measures is where you can add your weights and dimensions if you want. Notification, we looked at. This is one of my by far favorite part, which again is not working. It didn't work for the beta 1 video too. I don't know what happened here, so blame it on beta.
And so you kind of went quickly out of the other extensions. Your widgets then are kind of your satellite modules, your helper modules like the mini cart and the checkout, additional ones. That's what your widgets are, so that those can be kind of customized and worked on separately.
Correct, and we're going to look at those really quick in front end. So I just wanted, we're still in back end. I want to get out of here, and we'll look at those promotions. You can create discounts that are applied to products, categories, manufacturer, subtotal, whether you want to require a coupon code or not, percentage off, discount or amount off. When do you want this active from? Do you want to combine multiple discounts into one? Can this discount be used forever, or only 5 times, or only 5 times for a customer? So all that cool stuff right here is there. Your tax schedules, all the nitty-gritty details of are in settings like your store information that we filled in through the wizard. How do you want the catalog initial view? Do you want to show the best sellers? Do you want to show the feature products? Do you want people to sort? Do you want people to change the view mode? Allow them to zoom in, paging information. Do you want to show this GTIN, SKU, free shipping stuff? Do you want them to be able to review the products? Are we going to moderate that? Do you want product comparison enabled or not? How many maximum allowed? A lot of cart and wish list stuff. Automatically display the cart after adding a product, or just show it on kind of a window that is got added. Checkout stuff, allow guest checkout or not. Notifications you would enable if you want those sent out. You want to use DNN host settings for sending emails out, or specify your own. Security stuff built in, which product images, types, max size allowed. Same thing with digital downloads, what kind of files be allowed, and so forth. SEO stuff, I remember mentioning that you could have it so that don't even include the page name in the URL, just turn that no here. It does support structured data schema. It does support open graph tags. You could add your own sharing code here. This is template-based SEO. So basically we're saying for every product title, just use the product title, but you can always use other tokens and hardcode things there if you want to kind of modify the SEO. Shipping origin address, that goes here. Some tax information. Do we want to show pricing with tax, without tax? Do you want to show the tax suffix? Do you want to show individual applied tax rates? Like, if they bought an electronic and apparel product and both had different tax rates, then you can show different tax rates. So you want to show 0 taxes? Do you want to show tax in summary? Do we tax on the billing address, shipping address, or a specific address? In that case, you can put one here. So out of the box, and this is where the widgets go, out of the box, you just drop the module and it automatically creates URLs for everything, and you can change them for the cart, for the checkout, for the complete, for the comparison, and so forth. You could either use that, or you have the ability to, let's say you want your checkout to be on a specific page. Then you would use the widget and drop a checkout widget on a specific page. And there's some maintenance stuff here, like remove guest customers without shopping carts after 1 day, and these should be 14 days or 30 days. All right, let's get out of here, go to front end, and we got a bunch of sales reports and stuff here.
No, I couldn't bring myself a mute fast enough. Wait. Users is a big question. We've experienced a lot of pain in the DNN universe when people have put together store systems that don't know DNN well, and therefore they ignore the things that DNN does well internally, and users is a good example of what's been done badly in some store systems. So one of my main questions to ask you tonight is, how are users handled? If someone creates an account during the process of store checkout, are those actual DNN users? Are they some pseudo user? And your little link there of saying that you delete or clear guest users after so many days, how are guest users handled? So that might be just something to quickly describe, but that's a big question for me.
Absolutely. So there's 2 ways you can check out in Live Storefront, and one is you kind of force them to have an account, log in. In that case, they have to create a DNN account as their DNN user. They have to be logged in to check out. And one is you allow guest checkouts, in which they don't have to create an account, and no account gets created anywhere. So when we call a guest customer, that basically means anyone who hits the site or adds a product to cart, we have to kind of identify them in some way or another. And we do this by internally creating a customer ID for them, which has nothing to do with DNN users table. We create a cookie on there, and so we can identify them. So this is when they come back 3 days or 5 days later, their card is still there and they can see. The maintenance task you were looking at is just basically saying, hey, if we have these cards being created and people are never checked out, for how long do you want me to store them? It's you know, after some time it's useless data. So that's the maintenance is going to go and get rid of those. Now, if the customers have actually done a purchase and checked out or something, then of course those data and that data is never touched, and that's persistent.
If a user starts out as a guest user and they later then check out and create a user, do they still have that other temporary customer ID? Are all users given that temporary customer ID for a point in time until they check out or something?
That's correct. So when you log into the site and you add to the add something to the cart, and you know, we don't know who you are, so you get this temporary customer ID. But then if you log in, then your card, your checkout information then gets moved over, and we are able to kind of firmly identify you as a DNN user. Then it gets moved over, and we identify you as a DNN user, not as a temporary customer. So next time you come in, we kind of remember it's you, but again, until you don't log in, we don't make that association.
Okay, thank you.
So one part that's not working beta for some reason, but it's live on working on my live site here. Let me see if I can. Can you see the Firefox window I just opened up?
Well, I mean, what are you looking at like a version 8 control panel? That's what I'm seeing. I don't know if that's Firefox or not. Now I'm version 9 store.
I'm trying to figure out if I can change my sharing settings here. Oh yeah, there we go. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, let me know if you can see it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the store permissions tab, and now that we're talking about users, so we have granular permissions into who can access what part of the store. This is more for maintenance and management. So let's say I have somebody who needs to be responsible for actually creating the catalog, you know, updating products on day-to-day basis. So I just go ahead and give them the permission. I choose a security role here, whatever that might be, and I say those users in this rule can only view the products, or I can go and say they can update them, or I can say they can create them, or delete them, or import them. It's absolutely granular, as you can see, at every level of the store. I mean, I decide who can go update the store settings, who can create the shipments, who can view the reports, and the reports get starred into the dashboard. If you have the permissions to look at the sales reports, then they will appear on your dashboard. Otherwise, they won't. And it's down to every single entity of the store. So I can decide who gets to see the orders, who gets to do the customer service, who gets to only do the shipment. I mean, I don't want people who are managing my product catalog to know what my sales are. So I can totally customize this and set that up the way I want. One thing I also kind of overlooked in the back end is when you're setting these stores up and you got hundreds and hundreds of products, you're not going to enter them by hand. We have this import routine, and I don't know if I have any test files here or anything. I'll just take something. But this is what I want to show. The beauty of it is you could load any CSV file. It doesn't have to be in any specific format. Then you simply choose your columns from the right and map them. So you can say my name field is the name, here's my description, and so forth. And you got tons and tons of data that you can map to kind of import on the fly. As you can see, these are dynamic controls that were built in to give peace of mind to the end user. They don't have to worry about sticking to specific format of CSV. They can load whatever they have, and it will do the work. So as you can see, there's so many columns. If you map them once, you can hit Save Map File. It will create a simple text file you can save. Next time, load that in, and you don't have to keep doing the mapping. So that's there. And this import works for categories, products, manufacturers, and all that. All right, let's go to the front end. So this is the front end by default when the data came in. I'm just going to go ahead and move this. Let's say, let's drag and drop doesn't work. Okay, there we go. I'll move it into right, and what I'm going to do is add a widget module to the left. There's a live store widget. Put that right here, and then let's configure this. So I'm going to say, here's my live store module, and I want a bunch of widgets. So to start with, I want the mini cart, I want the mini icon, I want the wish list, and then I would like to probably show the search or refine by categories, manufacturers. Let's see, anything else? That should be good for now. So if you were setting up specific pages where you want the cart or checkout to appear, then you can simply add a widget module and add a cart or checkout to it, and then you'll be done. But out of the box, it hooks everything up internally, so you don't have to create specific pages for each thing. All right, so here's our widget. Just wait for the page to reload here really quick. And these are the individual settings for each widget. For example, if you're in categories, you can click here and say I want to show categories, only the root categories and not the children categories. Or you can say I want to show the children categories, but only up to 2 levels deep. I have no idea why it's taking so long here. Okay. So now we got categories, we got manufacturers. And this is what I really wanted to show, the cart, icon, wish list. Really cool thing we built in is usually you want that stuff on your top right somewhere in a very skinny panel that's on every page. So if you want that, all you got to do is change the orientation. Say I want this going horizontal, and you will now be able to take, and they just become icons. So you can simply create a widget module, add it to a pane on the top right somewhere, and then have them appear like this, like they appear on our site, if you can see on the top right there. So very easy. You don't have to customize themes and stuff. You just simply drop the widget module in a very small pane, and it will automatically start going horizontal by click of a button.
So Mandeep, I don't know if you saw that, but Ryan's jaw dropped when you just demoed that.
Well, I did, and like I said initially, I chose the wrong day of redoing my office. I'm getting 3 32-inch curved panel monitors coming in, so I was unhooking stuff, and I'm stuck with one screen right now, so I can't have the camera and look at my screen at the same time, which is sad.
Yeah, no, I've not seen him do that on a demo before, but that one made him.
Okay. I'm looking at the After Effects. I see him kind of smiling, laughing there.
Awesome.
All right. So the widgets control. I mean, you can put them wherever you want in any page. They control everything, your search, categories and stuff. All this kind of runs fluid. In Ajax, there is no page load. So if I kind of click on notebooks, you'll see a Ajax spinner goes in, and then it will bring in the data. For some reason, this demo is running extremely slow. That is not the case on our live site. And I'm surprised because this is my local host and it's so slow, but it's running super fast on the live site. So I have to figure out what's going on my local host. Anyways, back here, as you can see, the refine by kicked in, and once I clicked on a category, it's doing its magic. So let me go ahead and show some more things about the widget and widgets. I'm going to add one more widget module. And like I said, if you've used one of our products, then you know how to use them all. Live blog, live articles, they all work the same way, where we have this concept of a widget module and a main module. We don't believe in creating 23 different modules to run a product. That to me, that's just a nightmare to manage. So we'll just choose this, and then we can have the navigation on the top. And this is creating the menu that's going horizontal. So that's also another neat widget we have. And I have no idea why this is so slow, but we'll look into that, figure out. So there's a navigation coming up on the top. Right. Let's see. I think this is probably a good time to kind of let you ask questions. I mean, you can do add things to a wish list, add things to cart, do comparisons. It says got added to the wish list. And let me add something to the cart.
So there's a question while that loads up. Are there category URLs?
Yes, that's what we initially looked at. So each category, as you can see, has its own unique URL. If you ignore that 4, because I imported this 4 times, that's a URL. And you have the option. This is my default portal alias. So you have the option to even get rid of the page name, in which case, ultimately, you can go down to just this.
Yeah, sorry, because it was slow, I didn't notice. No, that's perfect.
Yeah, even though it's running on Ajax calls, SEO is very important. So the bots and SEO will not run Ajax calls. They are seeing just simple links. So if I were to right-click this in new window, it'll open as the link.
So Mandy, you may have covered this. I've been getting hammered with messages here. The way the products are displayed, is there like a tokenized way that I can style that, or do you have any control over that as like a front-end developer or whatever?
So I think this is now a pretty good time to go into what Ryan was saying, how the themes and templates are working. Mm-hmm. The entire front end is template driven. So you could create whatever you want. It's totally and absolutely customizable.
I figured it was. I mean, all of your products have that flexibility built in.
So I don't know if you can see this, but let me bring it in, and then I could share the screen really quick here. Desktop modules. How do I share more stuff? Let's see.
We can see the folder if that's what.
You can see the folder? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So let's go to Live StoreFront, and then you would go to the. So all the extensions, as you install them, they get their own folders, and they go into their own nice categories. There's the actual store, and in there you have a concept called themes. And this is a custom theme I was playing with, but you would, by default, you would get a default theme. So you could create your own theme, so you can completely override, or you can just modify individual templates within theme. So, for example, if we're looking at the main view here, the home page of the store right here, this page right here, then I'd be going to site, and under site. I'm not very good at this, am I? Hold on. Home. So the dev team keeps changing, and they keep improving every week, and it takes me a while to catch up. And this is nothing but a CS/HTML page, which is a Razor page. So if you're a developer, this is good news for you, because you can even do your logic, and you can do your if-else and everything else in there if you want to. If you are just an HTML and CSS developer, then you can still go ahead and play with the tags and modify things. Everything is kind of done with the reuse model. So as you can see, we have something called a product list template, which gets reused, and that's what's deciding this list of products that shows up. So you don't have to keep changing in every template. If you ever want to do a modification to how that looks, in that case, you would go to common, and you can find the product list. For example, if you want to change the pager, how the pagination looks, then you would do it here, and everywhere where pagination appears, it's going to be changed. So same thing for the product list. It's coming here, and here's where our filter's happening. If you're in a grid view mode, then we do this. Versus if you are somewhere, I don't know, down below, right here. So versus if you're in a list mode, then we do this. And that's referring to this thing. This is a list mode. This is the grid mode. But ultimately, yeah, total control. You decide everything from the markup to the CSS. There's absolutely nothing that the module will dictate on you. You get to choose exactly what needs to go out. So this gives you complete control over the front end, not only just in HTML and CSS. So this is your HTML with the logic built in if you're familiar with Razor.
Yeah.
But then if you go back to the theme right here, then your resources, that's where all your styling is. With your themes are. Your CSS styling is, and then you have the option to include any JavaScript too. So it really gives you total control. Like some of our widgets have carousel and stuff running like that, and they wrote some custom JavaScript, so they included this 2.js in there, and this is all simply put together in a package in this XML file. This is not formatted. Let me see. Yeah, not formatted. But you basically are saying right here in this XML file that, hey, I want to include a client script, this one and this one, and then also I want to include 2 style sheets, this one and this one. That's it. And you can decide if you want to have any startup scripts like JS that you want to be called at end of the page. You put them right here. Anything that needs to be on the top, you put them on the top. And this is not formatted, otherwise it'll look nicer. But total control. You decide what JS goes on. You decide what HTML goes on. You decide what CSS goes on. So with that 3 combination, as a designer, you have absolutely full control on how the front end looks like.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that module would dictate on you or will add. There's a lot of people who have concerns on performance, and they don't want any extra stuff coming in if they don't need it. So your theme decides everything, not only how the front end looks like, even down to the email notifications that goes on. So these are all the email templates. You have total control. And if you just want to change the language, those are localized, so you can always do that through admin languages. But if you want to change the way they look and feel, or if you want to add your own logic, do an if and else or whatever, you're totally free to do that. The entire front end is built on Razor, so everything is totally templates.
Mandeep, maybe this is a good segue then to also ask about other cross integrations. One of my favorite things about Porto is special versions of Porto page templates, which are prepared to work with the blog module and set up things in a very special way for the blog module. Do you have things like that planned for the store yet? And you're thinking about that type of polish as well?
So absolutely. Our goal here is always to integrate the products. I don't know if you noticed, but out of the box, the styling that you're looking at in Live Storefront is totally what we have in the Porto demo page. This is inspired by Porto demo page that we have right now, and that card demo page we have. So when we do officially release, there will be a Porto version of the theme that will ship with it, which will make sure that we don't duplicate on the styling coming from the theme and from the store as well.
Very, very nice. Well, we're heading towards the end of our time here, so let me into some questions and checking in with the group. I know Clint's been asking questions as they pop up in chat. For folks here, do we have any questions that you want to go ahead and bring them now? Otherwise, I'll prepare a few and ask as well.
So I had a couple that I jotted down. There's 4 of them, and you can just answer whichever ones you want. So the first one that I was just thinking as we were going through was if I currently have a store, like using a different DNN e-commerce or any other e-commerce, is there any type of import feature? The second was, are you able to tie into any gamification? You know, I got to ask that question from the eVote perspective, but you could potentially use outside gamification APIs. And I'm thinking about.
So let me address those two.
Okay.
Let's take them one at a time.
All right.
So the first one is import from another. So we don't have right now any way to do a total migration. Let's say you're using one of the other softwares from the vendors in the ecosystem. There is no import process. And by migration process, I am referring to the fact that you are migrating everything. That means all the order details and all the sales data and the categories and products and so forth. Having said that, we will offer one. We've always done that. When we came with live blog and live articles, we've always offered a migration path from another product to ours. The problem with a live storefront is we cannot offer a generic one. We don't want to go ahead and say, hey, migrate over from XYZ software to ours, because every client is using the product in a very unique situation. So we will offer is a flat fee-based system where we will take your existing install and we'll migrate over to live storefront for you for a flat fee. So that will be there. Number two, gamification. So gamification is something that has been on our roadmap for a long time. We are working on our own gamification API and library that will integrate with all of our products. Just like we have our own workflow library, we have our own social library, we have our own URL library. We are coming with our own gamification that will tie in live exchange, live forums, all the social products that we offer. We will continue to integrate with DNN social capabilities like the social groups and so forth. But I believe the gamification part is something we've been already started developing that. So once that comes in, and I think it's going to be a lot sooner now with Live Storefront coming in, because that's another software that's going to make pretty good use of gamification capabilities.
Yeah. Good deal. All right. So my other two questions were, we talked about the bosses who want to log in and see a certain view of data. What about the bosses who don't even want to log in? They want to automatically be emailed a PDF of some kind of report. I'm wondering if you have on your roadmap any automation of reports, just of data from the store. And then the other one is mobile management of the store. Is there a mobile app, or is it responsive? Or if I'm on the run and I need to log in and mark a product as sold out or whatever, is there a mobile interface for that?
Okay, so question number 3. See, I told you, give me one at a time. I lost that question.
Yeah, the report automation for the bosses.
Report automation, yes. So no, nothing on the roadmap yet, but that's kind of expected. We're still at beta. We're still trying to get to official release.
And I'm sure this is very, very thorough for a beta. I will say that it's very good looking.
Yeah, and like I said, we've not covered a lot of features. I had to rush through them. There's tons of functionality that was built in. We took a lot of time, and we've spent literally 3 years developing this product because every time it came by for review, I was just not there yet to even kind of show it to the world. Yeah. We've been using it on our own site for about 4 or 5 months now, so it's doing pretty good, being tested every day.
I think the first time you mentioned this, Ryan, we were still meeting at Microsoft when he mentioned this the very first time, and that was a while back.
Yeah. We've been working this for a long time. Honestly speaking, this caught me off guard. I didn't thought e-commerce would be so much work, but this literally drained the energy of the entire team and the company. We've got close to 8 to 10 engineers working on this for God knows how long, and this drained a lot of resources. But I'm happy with what I see, and I'm sure it'll pay off. So to answer your question, maybe version 2. That is not something very hard to do. It's pretty simple. We're already doing scheduled maintenance within the product where it does things and cleanups. So it can very easily create a UI where you can choose what kind of reports you want mailed out, and it will kind of build those up and send up on a daily basis. But I don't foresee that happening in the initial release. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So the follow-up was the mobile management. Any mobile?
That is something more up on my priority list. The entire software is developed with a mobile-first approach, so it works great in mobile view already in a computer. So we have not made a decision call, and I would love community feedback if they would like a native application for mobile to do the management task, or they would just want a wrapper application where basically is just bringing the web page into view, which is mobile friendly anyways. So if you guys have any feedback on that, we'll be very interested, because that is again something we'll pick up after we release the official version to go ahead and work on a mobile access. Along those lines, we do also intend to offer some kind of white branded, white label apps for end users. So if you're selling Halloween clowns, then you need to have your own Halloween clown app, so people can buy the product off from. So there's two kinds of apps we're working on. One from admin and management perspective, and one from the there it is.
It's kind of dark. There it is, the Halloween clown. That's what it refers
to. So Clint built that, and I was actually able to kind of rotate his head sitting from my computer earlier before we started here. That was pretty cool.
To be extra scary for Halloween, Clint, the light didn't shift on the camera, so we actually couldn't see what was in the corner, unless you knew there was a scary clown in there in the far corner. Maybe when we finish the meeting in a few minutes, we'll let you demonstrate that again, because that was pretty cool. And for some of those that don't know your IoT machinations, it's a lot of fun to see. That's what you built here.
I'm going to derail the meeting, Doc. I'm sure you guys have questions for Mandeep about the system here.
So I'm going to jump into one of mine since I'm still off mute here. Mandeep, I'm trying to think about how best to phrase this. Performance of the system. My shop, we've used almost every, we've used every DNN store system that is possible within the ecosystem over the years. And there are some that we know work well one way or work well another way. And one of the things that we inevitably find is that the way the data is structured, the way cleanup processes work, the way that things are indexed and searched or listed, sometimes a store will work fantastically well for a few hundred products, but is very slow when you have 10,000 products. Or vice versa. It might be fine with 10,000 products with a few variables or a few values, attributes to those products. But if you had 22 custom attributes to those products, then even just a couple hundred would kill the performance. Have you benchmarked this with tens of thousands of products and really trying to stack it and see when it slows down? Do you have a sense of how well it performs with those kinds of extremes?
So we have not gone that far, but I'll tell you something is that when we released our live help desk module, we had a client who adopted that module and then quickly scaled from a couple thousand tickets in the help desk to a couple million tickets in that help desk. And we were very familiar with what you're talking about. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this product has been already benchmarked, because it has not. But I will tell you that we will do it, and we will make sure that it's going to work with million products, because we use the same architecture. That's one thing about building software, because it's iterative. If you keep doing something, you figure out the best way of doing it, then it gets easier. You use the same pattern over and over again. So I'm very confident right now that's pretty good, but I'm even confident. I'm definitely far more confident that it can be better, and we will certainly make sure that it will get better. Honestly speaking, we've not done the benchmark. Our initial attempt right now is just to get the feature list completed for the beta. But before we release that official one out, we will definitely have done the load testing with at least 1 million products. That's my benchmark.
That's an excellent answer, and I completely understand. That's the way you describe it, that's the best possible answer. But just for me, you get up past about 12, maybe 15,000 products, you're fine. That's all. That's about all I need in a max case.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. See, if you've built it right, it could be 1 million or 10 millions. If it's choking at a certain level, that means not built correctly, anyways. And that's why my benchmark is always, it shouldn't matter the number of amount you have. Now, there are some cases where things get very interesting, like you said. If you got the specifications and variables that are being added to a product and they work fine for 30 and 40 and 50, but then after a certain number of things starts choking up, and that again talks about an architecture problem. Those are some of the things we learned, and I think we should be okay in this product. We normalized everything out in the table and database, so it kind of boils down to SQL performance and indexes and so forth. So there's nothing we're doing in memory and so forth. So it all comes down to that. So I'm pretty confident we'll be okay. But we'll definitely run those benchmarks. One beautiful thing about software development is dog fooding. I mean, we use that product on our own site. And yeah, we don't have 1 million products, but if that store is down even for 10 minutes, I make sure somebody's up and taking care of it. And we've been doing it for five months already. And if I'm confident enough to put it on my store, then I think the product has some merit to it to run on our site. And once I feel like it has the merit to run 1 million products, that's when it's going to go out and be available on the DNN store.
Mandeep, is there any, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a creative multi-portal usage, like sharing products across, like, I don't even know if that would make sense.
No, actually, we have a feature request along this line. So Live StoreFront right now is multi-store capable, which basically means every instance of the module is a new store, totally. So you could have one on each portal. The scenario we're getting in our feedback from our beta testers is they want the stores to share products, or more or less they want one master place where they're managing all the products, but then this individual stores where they get to choose which products to sell. So we've got some interesting feedback going on in our, and this is great time to bring it up. So if anyone would like to send any feedback, you can hit mandeep.com/lsf/beta-testing. You can sign up for the beta program here, get access to the current beta, download it, and try it out yourself. There's installation and setup videos. There's some documentation. There's a demo there too. And as you can see, there's a lot of users that are already providing feedback, and we're talking to them. And one of them was the multi-store, I believe, somewhere here, right there. So I think there has been a pretty healthy discussion around multi-store right there. So yeah, it's something definitely we're gonna try and achieve for, if not beta 2, but definitely for the RC.
Awesome. You guys got any other questions or thoughts, Mike, Rut, Daniel?
I don't think I have any questions, but glad to see you used Razor scripts for the templating. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best of the both worlds. The designers are happy and the developers are happy. And the developers don't have to open the code and compile, and they can do quick things on the fly if they want to. And the designers can go in and then they do their own HTML and CSS stuff and JS stuff.
That's a good segue into the next month meeting. No, Mandeep, this has been awesome, man. I mean, it is very thorough. It's got a lot more. I mean, I'm not an e-commerce guru by any means, but you've got a ton more features in here than I anticipated you would on a beta release. I mean, Ryan, you do a lot of e-commerce. What did you think?
This is a very complete solution already at this early state. Going through screens, I saw the screens that I would expect to see in any of the systems that we've used heavily. So I can tell that Mandeep, has said a few times that he's been dog fooding it. So he's putting in the features that he needs. But he's clearly also looked at the systems that are out there and toe-to-toe picked up all of the normal required things that you'd expect to have. We kind of have in my company, we kind of have a a spreadsheet that is a giant list of all the features we could ever possibly imagine, especially some of the gotcha features that force us to use one store system versus another store system. And we give those to clients when we're first onboarding them and trying to figure out what kind of things they need in storefront features. And I already just at a glance saw so many of those already covered here and covered well.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why it took so long for us to bring a product to market. I mean, initially within the DNN ecosystem, there was this big void of e-commerce, right? We didn't have many players, and then we got Hotcake Commerce, and we got SmithCard, when we got a bunch of other players over there. So the question in our mind was, if we just don't want to bring another product out that does not even meet on the functionality and feature point. I mean, the way I see is where we sell, or why our products sell, as the feature list is a given. I mean, your software got to work. That's to begin with. So that's not where. I mean, that's a given. But then, how easy it is to use, how easy it is to manage, and how well does it gel with the entire experience for the end user, and even for management perspective. I mean. For e-commerce, it's extremely important that they're able to manage that product with the least amount of pain, from setting it up and from day-to-day tasks. So, yeah, we took a lot of time to come to the market, and we're still not there. I mean, hopefully soon. For the only reason, I mean, if we're going to come to the market, I mean, we definitely have to be on the same feature set as what else you can get, and if you can add on to it, then only it makes sense. Otherwise, it's just another product on the store.
So the burning question is, how much are you going to make us pay?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have pricing yet. We've talked about it on LSF Beta 2, but it will definitely be competitive with what the solutions out there. We're not going to try to make this a premium product. It's going to be pretty competitive with any other solution for DNN e-commerce out there. If anything, we'll probably have tiered pricing, so the extensions will probably sell separately. If you want UPS or FedEx, pay for it, and this will allow us to keep a low cost entry point to the product itself. We're not going to, at this point, we're not going to segregate within the core features. So if you want the Google Analytics enhanced e-commerce integration, pay for that extension separately, and then you got that. One of the things, we totally overlooked, and a great feature of Live Storefront is it's multi-language.
Yeah.
That's built in. So once you enable multiple languages in your product management screens, you are able to quickly translate every single thing to a different language. So it's multi-store, multi-language, multi-currency. So we don't plan to go ahead and segregate those features. So there will be one price point, low entry price point, you get everything. But then you decide. I mean, if you want a specific payment provider, you got to pay for it. You got a specific shipping provider, you pay for it. That's going to be. It doesn't make sense to build all these extensions and then charge everyone, even if they're not using it. Also, kind of helps us understand which extensions have the most, most traction, so we can spend more time on improving those versus trying to improve everything across the board when there's only like 2 clients who use something. So basically the same pattern we use with our Live Forms product, that you buy the core Live Forms, and then you can buy a bunch of these extensions separately and put them in if you need to.
Nice.
Well, Mandeep, we've crossed over 8:30 here. We've seen an excellent showing for the Beta 1 edition here of Live Storefront. You kind of wrapped up by pointing us to number 1, the fact that we can join and participate in this beta. Download and install. You're clear to mention in a few different places that this is not ready for production and live use. This is for testing and concept only. And to that point, you've made it very easy for us to participate and put in bug questions if we have them, and suggestions for new features, and questions about how things work here in the beta testing area. So I think we've seen both an excellent showing of beta and an excellent community ability for us to be involved and help you make this better right out the gate. So I think I'm going to kind of close this this part of the session here by thanking you for not only bringing this here to show us, but also for bringing this to market here soon. I think your extensibility, your customization with templates, all of these are very fresh, wonderful ways to approach a store system, and I think we're all very excited about it. So thank you very much, Mandeep, for joining us.
Thank you, Ryan. It's always a pleasure, and I want to thank you for having me here.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure as well, of course. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to my screen, if you would, Clint, and I will bring back online.
All right. Rut Scarborough says, this was great. Thanks. Thanks for hanging in there, Rut.
Fantastic. I should be in good shape showing the right screen.
No screen is showing currently. There it is. StoreFront blog. Here, as we wrap up, we're finishing up tonight's Southern Fried meeting. We have our next Southern Fried meeting, as always, the third Thursday of every month, and that would make it November the 15th. We will have a couple of different things presented next month. I believe that since we will have speaker selections already presented for DNN Summit, we'll be talking about that a good bit. Next month, we'll also be catching up with other community things as well, but I did want to mention that we will have, for at least part of our session, a presentation from Clint, who's going to talk about Blazor. Blazor, I don't know, quite a name there. All I think is Transor, right? This is Transor Z. Anybody? Anime? Nobody? Okay. Anyways, we're going to hear about Blazor, a new full-stack web development within C#. Anyways, a neat new way to do .NET Web Framework is what I understand. So we're going to hear about that and get some presentation and tutorials on it, and then we'll have another guest as well. We'll let everybody know when we've locked that down. So thank you very much, everybody, again, for joining us both online and here for the replays. We'll post everything in our Southern Fried location for links and information to the links and to the beta downloads here, but do head over to mandeeps.com, mandeeps.com, to get connected with that download, and thank you for joining us here tonight.